So I've been receiving a few requests from my Indian subscribers on how I paint with Fevicryl paints. Although I had done a video earlier, but I do understand that video may not have been clear enough because I probably missed out a few important steps there. So I decided that I will do another video again with a Spitfire. This time I have the Tamiya 148 scale Spitfire Mk.Vb that I'm building out of box, and I decided that I will show the painting of the Spitfire with Fevicryl paints. Now this is not going to be a complete build video. As you can see, I've already started off with the build. There will be no assembly steps in this video. It will just be entirely a painting video of how I paint with Fevicryl. Now, as far as the assembly goes, the Tamiya 148 kit is an absolute marvel of engineering, I would say. The kit assembles absolutely perfectly without any gaps whatsoever. If you just follow the instructions step by step, you're going to assemble a gapless Spitfire build out there. Now, this video is going to be entirely about painting with Fevicryl paints, so if you are not interested in that, this is the time you should leave. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy the rest of the video as Swing Mixing takes you along on another great model building journey. All right, folks, so as you see here that I've just completed the squiggling pattern on the Spitfire that I'm working on, and as you can see, I've done it both on the underside and on the top side here. Of course, there is some leakage that happened in these places, but again, this will be covered up in paint, so I'm not really worried about that. So I'm going to now start off with the underside paint, and basically the instructions or the picture which you will see right now show that the underside of the Spitfire is in this very light sky blue color, and I would call it light sky blue because of course there are different companies which refer to different names for this color. Some call it the azure blue, some call it some name of blue, but basically it's just a sky blue color, so a darker sky blue, something like you will see in the winters, when there's bright sunlight and you will see a very, very blue sky. So it's that kind of blue. Now the color that I'm going to use is Fevicryl Cerulean Blue. Now you see that this is a little too dark, as you can see here, and this is the color that I'm going to use. So let me give it a quick shake because I haven't used it for quite some time. And now painting with Fevicryl is a challenge, but if you understand how the paints work and how the pressures in the airbrush work, it becomes all the more simple. So what I'm going to do is to produce the lighter blue shade. I am going to mix it up with white in this little container that I have over here, and so let me put the Spitfire aside so that you can see what I'm doing right now. So here we have the cerulean blue, here I have the white. So I'm going to use this white because I need a light bluish shade. So I'm taking a lot of white at this moment, and I will kind of blue it down rather than going the other way around, taking blue and then reducing the value of the blue. I will rather go with white, and I will keep increasing the amount of blue that I put into it, and keep referencing the image that I have of the Spitfire underside paint. And now I'm going to do the mixing. So I've got a mixing brush here. Now this is an old brush, and I usually use this brush to kind of mix the paints and all. So that's what I'm going to do right now as well. So here's how I go about it. I don't drop the color with the bottle itself. There'll be no control over how much blue I'm getting into it. So all I'll do is, with this brush, I'm going to take just as much as I can load in here, and I will just mix it into this white and see how blue that is. And I think I've gotten the exact shade of blue here, as you can see, but anyway, what I'm thinking is that when I lay down this paint, it's going to get darker in any case, because acrylics, they get darker once they start drying up. just a very subtle shift in the darkness value of the acrylics. So I think this is good enough, but I will just lighten it down a little more, well, just to, you know, satisfy my own thoughts. Just a little bit of white into this paint, just about that much. I think that should solve the purpose here. Light enough. I think this is absolutely fine. This is a very less quantity, so I'm going to thin it down a little with water, just 4 to 5 drops of water into it. That's the thinner that I use. And now the other thing that I'm going to use is a matte gel medium. So this is from Montmartre, and I have already tried and tested this. It's pretty good. Usually I've seen that, you know, when I'm painting with the airbrush, especially when I'm painting Fevicryl with the airbrush, you know, it tends to get a dry tip very quickly. So to avoid that situation, I'm going to add this gel medium into this paint. And this, what that does is it lubricates the needle, and it doesn't let you get a dry tip. Of course, eventually you will get a dry tip, but it's like you'll be able to spray for at least 45 seconds to about a minute before you start getting the dry tip, versus if you don't use this, you'll get the dry tip in about 5 to 10 seconds itself, in the first spray itself. So I'm going to use a little bit of this medium. I'm just going to open this, directly add, or in fact, just to make things easier, so I'll just take this much of medium out there, mix it into this, and because this is a matte medium, it will quickly, you know, shoot down the gloss of that paint that you have there. I'm gonna take my airbrush, load it up just a little bit with the paint. There you go. Mix it properly inside. So all I have inside this as a thinner at this moment is just pure water. And let's see. So here we go. I am going to start painting the Spitfire, and let's see. So as you can see, it's now laying down that color. Seems to be getting, I think I've kind of nailed the exact blue shade. As you can see, I'm not getting the dry tip, or if I hadn't used the gel matte medium, I would have gotten a dry tip by now, and I would have had to open up the needle cap and kind of clean that tip up. But right now, because I've already used the matte medium, it's helping the paint to dry a little slower, and also keeping the needle kind of lubricated so it doesn't dry up, and that's helping me to kind of, you know, carry on using my airbrush and paint it continuously, which is good. All right, everybody, so here we are. This is the current state of the Spitfire Mk.Vb that I'm working on. As you can see, I've got the underside blue is all painted up. I am now going to work on the camo pattern, and you can see that I've already masked out the camo pattern here. Now you might ask me, where is the base paint of sand color on this. If I paint the base color first and then paint the camo pattern on top of it, that ends up obliterating most of the weathering or fading effects that I've put in underneath, because technically where the camo pattern comes in, like for example on this portion, so there will be an undercoat of base paint scheme, which is the sand color, and on top you'll have the darker brown color. So that'll be roughly about three coats of the base color and roughly about 2 to 3 coats of the camo color, and that will end up obliterating this fading effect that I have shown underneath. So of late I have started using this method of painting the patterns separately. I usually start off with the darker tone, and then that helps me to paint the lighter tone and will help me to get a very feathered look of the camo pattern. But of course I can then modify that depending on how sharp I want the edges and lines. Here's a printout of the Spitfire Mk.Vb that I've taken, so you can see that it's a sand color underneath. That's the base tone of this Spitfire, and on top you've got this very light brownish tone. So now you'll not find this exact tone anywhere in Fevicryl paints. So I'll show you what we have in Fevicryl. So you have basically two types of brown paints that you get in Fevicryl. One is the dark brown and the other is the burnt sienna. These are the closest ones that come to the brown. Now let me give it a shake so you can see the pigment color. There you go. So you can see this is very, very dark. This is slightly lighter. But if I look at it, I see that this is a little more reddish, but it comes very close, and this is the burnt sienna one. It comes very close to the actual brown that is there on this particular camo pattern out here. So instead of using this brown, which is very dark and it's sort of greenish tint as well, although I can use this also, but this will take a lot of manipulation. This will be and should be an easier fix because I see that it is slightly red. So I can tone down the red, and I can also bring the value down by adding white. So that is my aim. I need to get this color to look like this with the minimalistic use of colors. I've got burnt sienna, and I'll first take normal Fevicryl white, and I'll just pour the white in here. I think I'll take a little more of the white pigment. So that's it. Put the white aside. So we've got white, and now I will take burnt sienna, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add very little of it, and I'll keep monitoring it till the time it comes close to this color. So let's see. So I'll just add one small drop of it like so, and I'll use my brush to kind of mix it up. Now instantly you can see that it's turning very, very yellow, and that clearly means that there's a lot of yellow in this burnt sienna, and so that is what you'll have to tone down. But because you have white in it, it's making it much brighter. So I'll add a little more burnt sienna, and let's see where the tonality falls. And I think it should start coming closer, but you still see it far away from the actual brown that you have here. It's quite far. This is much darker. So I think I've achieved the sort of value that I need here. What I need to do is now darken this, and now because, as I mentioned, it had a lot of red in it. So the complementary, and if you've studied, you need some knowledge of the color wheel and color theory. So you've got the three primary colors. You've got red, on top yellow and blue. So if you want to tone down yellow, you will have to add the complementary of yellow into it to tone it down. But we're not going with a yellow. What we're going with is, because the base, as I told you, that this is more reddish. Now to bring red down, I will need the complementary of red, which means I will need the mixture of blue and yellow. So we've got red here on top, yellow here and blue here. So the complementary of red is going to be the mixture of blue and yellow. So blue and yellow is going to give me some sort of a green. So if I add a darker green into it, here you go. So that's the Fevicryl Sap Green. Give it a shake and let me just see if the darker green tones down this shade. Let's see what we get. There you go. As you can see, it has started toning down and it's coming very, very close now to the brown that we need. You can see, you know, as I was mixing it, it was giving me that slight brownish tint. So let me add a little more red. See where we get. Yes, it'll make it slightly pinkish, but there you go. You see that color turning brown. And there you go. That's the, I think that has come absolutely perfectly brown. You can see that this brown is almost exactly like this. Now keep in mind that this is acrylic paint. When you lay it down on the plastic, it is going to go a shade darker, just a tad bit darker. So I think that that comes exactly like this brown here. Let's quickly try this. Let's quickly try painting this on the model and see the results. All right, so there we go. We are ready with the paint. Let me quickly spray it here, and I'm going to cover this wing. And as you can see, I'm just slowly kind of building up that brownish paint pattern. So I'm not spraying a heavy coat. What I'm doing is I'm spraying multiple coats, multiple light coats of that brown color that we've just produced by mixing various tones. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here I am with the completed first camo pattern of the Spitfire. And as you can see, I removed all the masking and it's come out pretty good. The mixing of the Fevicryl paints has produced this particular tone, though I still feel that it should be a little grayish, or you know, toned down a little more. But of course, once I add a layer of gloss coat and then a flat matte, I think everything will blend together, but that's to come in a much later stage. For now, I think this is good. Now I'm going to paint the remaining spaces with the desert tan or the sand color, and you know, that's kind of going to blend the entire paint scheme together. So for that, I am going to use another shade of brown, and here they are. So one I call desert tan, the other I call sand, and as you can see, they both look, let me give it a shake, and as you can see, they both look pretty similar, except that this is slightly darker than this or vice versa. This is slightly lighter than this. You can see the difference here. You can see the left one is a tad bit darker than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the lighter one, which is the desert tan, and I'm going to use that on the rest of the spaces that you see here, and that'll kind of give it the desert base tone of the desert in this camo pattern. So I'm going to simply use this, and this again is made out of brown. This is simply a lot of white and just a touch of brown in it, and you know, it's given me this particular shade. Let me open it and show you exactly how it looks. There you go. So that's the exact tan color that I need for the desert scheme. In fact, if you look at the sand one, this also looks pretty okay, but because this is slightly darker, I don't want to use that one. Leaning more towards this, but I'll go with the desert tan. The idea is that if it doesn't look good, you know, I can easily get to this one, but if I spray this first and then I realize that no, it should have been lighter, getting back to this will be a huge pain. So I'm going to go with this. And as you can see, the Spitfire there in the background with the desert tan color painted up, and here you can see me detailing the propeller spinner with Camlin red, but the main purpose is to have a look at the desert tan color. The overall look of the camouflage pattern has kind of blended in, and then I moved on to applying the decals. You see there's a gloss coat underneath. That gloss coat has kind of blended all the colors together, and you can see that the brown color has also settled down a little bit, and it is kind of matching now with the brown that I showed you on the picture. And I'm pretty satisfied with how it's come out. A word of advice for those of you who are struggling with Fevicryl paints: the best way is to keep experimenting, but I would say that knowing the color theory is a must for any sort of painting endeavors. Not just painting on scale models, but even a generic painting would need some knowledge of the color theory. And once you have that knowledge backing you up, once you're an expert in identifying, you know, what colors to mix to get another color, I mean, if you ask me, I can today just mix primary colors, just a red, yellow and blue, you know, to get whatever shade of any other color that you need. So knowing the color theory is important. Spend about an hour or so looking at videos on YouTube for color theory. Understand how it works, how the changes of colors work, because Fevicryl does not provide you with, you know, specific military colors. Fevicryl only comes with mostly floral colors or maybe a lilac set of colors. But for the military colors, you would really need to you know, do a lot of mixing and matching, and that's the only way that you can achieve you know, the various camouflage colors on the aircraft. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please give a thumbs up if this video made a difference to the way you brush paint or airbrush, or even if you learned something new in this video. To consider sharing it with your friends as well, those who are really keen in getting into scale modeling and really want to experiment with Fevicryl. Swing Wing Sing signing off here. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye, take care.